Welcome to the Beyond Physio Podcast, where we help you move, excel, and inspire others on your journey to your next level with knowledge and advice from experts and testimonials from our like-minded community.
Jeff, I want to thank you so much for making some time to coming out to talk about your story with us. And there are a lot of people in our circle, among our audience, that have dealt with low back pain, live an active lifestyle, but just can't seem to get past certain kinds of things. So can you talk about your journey to get to where you found us?
Yeah. So, it was, lower back pain initially started years ago, probably 8-9 years ago. Had a MRI just because I was having some on again, off again pain in my lower back. Had a couple of herniated discs around the L3, L4 point. But then it would kind of be there and it would go away, no issues, more of a long-term issue, no issue at all. But then it was November 19th, 2022. My family and I went on a vacation out to Colorado, slept in a bed I haven't slept in a while, woke up the next morning and was just in excruciating pain. It's obviously around Thanksgiving. The whole vacation was pretty much ruined for me. Family had a great time, but not for me. So a lot of laying around on that trip. And I noticed right away that my whole torso was kind of laterally shifted to the right, which had never really happened before. I was in a place I'm not familiar with at a point where not a lot's open over Thanksgiving. So I really couldn't do anything during that vacation. But when I eventually came back, I scheduled an appointment with orthopedist and everything or orthopedic surgeon really to kind of assess what was going on. Had more, another x-ray, another MRI, still had the bulging herniated discs at the L3, L4, S1, L5, whatever. So he said there's basically, you can go in for physical therapy. We can do pain relievers, which I really didn't want to get any type of hardcore pain relievers or anything like that, or potentially surgery, depending on how things go. So obviously, I took the least invasive option and started some physical therapy at a large provider in my area, and it was not at all helpful. I went in 4, 5, 6 times, but enough. It was.
What did they do for you there? I'm always curious because other people have told us how it's a cookie cutter kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're sort of rushed around.
That's exactly what it was. It was the physical therapist, a very nice guy, but there were 4 or 5 other people that he was working with at the same time. So he would, okay, do this, kind of just some stretches or whatever, and I'll get back in a few. I would do those stretches for a couple minutes, lay around for 4 or 5 more minutes. He would come back over, a few more stretches. Not even a lot of at-home stuff to do either. So I tried to stick with it and everything, but I could tell after a few visits that this is not going to be the solution for me. So kind of took a step back at that point, and continued, doing as much physical activity as I possibly could. I like to go to the gym, lift weights, that type of thing. And I was able to do it with like a cinched up weight belt, things like that, but it's not something that I wanted to keep, I didn't want to be that way for a long period of time.
Yeah. And the things that you couldn't do, Jeff, it ranged from, as I recall, just even sitting down or standing for 10 minutes.
Yeah. So I would start flaring up like within 10-15 minutes if I was just sitting, which is difficult because I have a job that requires me to sit at a desk for a long period of time. Of course, I have a standing desk. I've had that for a while, even when I didn't have back problems. So I would kind of go back and forth with the standing and the sitting, but honestly, a lot of the times I would just be laying on the ground with the laptop kind of on my stomach or whatever, working, flipping over to my stomach and kind of laying on the ground that way. It impacted playing with my kids. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old daughter, 2 daughters, and there was a lot of things that just like, can we go outside and do this, play volleyball and, run around? And it's just like, no, I really can't right now. I'll go out, but I can't really do much with you.
So it really impacted your family life.
Yeah, impacted family life, impacted work life. It was really, really frustrating. So from there, I continued to see the orthopedist who I saw, and he said, okay, let's look at doing epidural steroid injections. So I ended up doing that. And that was probably 5 months after it flared up in November of 2022, that did absolutely nothing. Wow. So that was another frustrating thing. You go in and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get relief from this. I know it's not a panacea, but it's like I'm expecting some relief, but it was absolutely no relief whatsoever. So then back to the drawing board, continue to, at-home stuff, and, some stretching and things like that. And then I think it was the fall of 2023, I had a radio frequency ablation, which everything I've read and, heard about that is like, okay, this will, if it's going to make a difference, you will see it immediately. Like you will feel a lot better. Did not feel better at all from that either.
So basically you had 2 procedures done. Yeah. Neither of them actually had any relief for you
at all.
That's crazy.
That's correct. So yeah, incredibly frustrating. Yeah. So I guess around Christmas this past year, I had a little bit of time off, so I started Googling around and literally was Googling like lower back pain, Cary, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I saw Next Level and your review and everything, or a bunch of reviews on there, and people basically saying, oh, it helped with my lower back pain. Different, and I can't remember exactly what some of the reviews said, but talking about different types of modalities, I guess, that I'd never really had. I've had some dry needling done in the past, but certainly not to a deep extent, I guess.
Or effective extent.
Yeah. It hadn't really done much in the past either. But I was like, you know what, I'll try this out and, I'll see what happens.
So you were definitely at a point of like, I got to try something because nothing's really helping me. And it's been now over a year and a half.
Yeah. I mean, it's just incredibly frustrating. I want to get back to my life. And, I've had shoulder pain before. I've had elbow pain, knee pain, things like that. And even not really doing much with it, just kind of resting it. It's like, okay, it's getting better. I can tell it's getting better.
Yeah.
This would not get better, even with rest, even with, minimally invasive treatment, things like that. Nothing really did the trick.
Got it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, for people listening, if you don't see, if you can't see Jeff right now on our YouTube channel, this guy's already jacked, in great shape. And, here's a guy who has not been able to live the kind of life that he wanted to live. He's been impacted by this. His family's been impacted by this. Hasn't been able to get around, tried everything, and is now seeing us. So tell us about like how it's been like, day one for working with us and how that differed from other physical therapy experiences.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we came in, like, I think you were a little surprised because I came in with all of my MRI results, my x-rays, all my visit notes and everything, just because if I'm going to go in and, follow through with this, I want to get the most out of it as possible. So as soon as I came in, we sat down that first day and you kind of broke everything out. Like, what's the problem? What's the underlying, issue that you're having? How is it impacting your life? What do you want to get back to doing? And that type of thing. Just that alone, especially from a physical therapy standpoint, was huge because no one's really asked me that. They've asked me certainly like, what's the problem? How much pain are you in? 1 to 10, but it's not like, what do you want to do? What had you been doing that you can no longer do?
Yeah.
So I know I had, from right off the first visit, it's like, okay, he's actually listening. He understands, wants to understand what my issues are.
Yeah.
He wants to, help me achieve the goal of getting me back to where I want to be. And then, I think we started out at, I can't remember, it was 2 or 3 visits a week or whatever.
Yeah, twice a visit. Yeah.
Yeah, 2. So you had a really nice program set up where it's like, okay, we're in phase 1 where it's kind of like, let's get you out of the pain first before we move on to kind of the, strength building and maneuverability, things like that. And I mean, it was great. I mean, it wasn't right off the bat by any means, but I'd say within 2 or 3 weeks, it's like, okay, I'm feeling a difference here. And I mean, I think I started January 2024 coming in, and by the end of February, I was able to essentially take a 6-hour road trip to Georgia.
Yes, I remember that.
I lived. Which was huge because, I mean, obviously, if I'm not sitting at a desk working for more than 15 minutes at a time, well, I'm able to drive 6 hours now with minimal breaks. Obviously, I took a break or 2, but nothing major, and was not in pain when I got out of there.
That's amazing. Yeah. And the other cool part, Jeff, is now you're lifting and doing things without your belt.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of the belt, it's like, when I first started coming here and everything, I still use the belt and everything because it's kind of, you use it as like a crutch in a lot of ways. I needed it as a crutch for a long time, just because any false move or slight move, it's like I had almost like being electric shock or something. But as we kind of progressed through the program here and everything, it's like I don't need this anymore. So I kind of tested it out, kind of worked on some exercises, not on some exercises, and now it's like I have it at the gym just in case something happens, or I'm doing an exercise where it's like even if I was never in pain, I would use it as a belt.
Yeah.
But I haven't used that thing in months.
That's amazing, Jeff. And what's cool is that seeing your motions also changed, because not only do you come in crooked but now we're straight, but you could bend forward now all the way down to your toes.
Yeah.
Whereas day one, it was maybe like a halfway with struggle.
Yeah. There was always something like catching. I could feel it, and then obviously the pain that was associated with it as well. And I rarely get that at this point.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Jeff, so if you were to let other people know sort of like what to expect, maybe 3 words that come to mind when you think of Next Level and our team here and experience, what would you say about us, you'd say?
You guys listen great. Obviously, like I said, what are your issues? And let's, actually listen to the patient, which is awesome. Very detail oriented and everything. The number of kind of exercises that you've provided for, when I'm here, but also when I'm at home, it's like the program didn't just stay static. It changed along the way. So, okay, you're doing this, you've kind of, reached this little milestone, not even a huge milestone, it's a small milestone. Okay, so now let's kind of up the ante a little bit. Let's kind of, test it a little bit more. Yeah. So a lot of detail there, and, the creativity, I guess, of the different types of treatment. It's not just like you said with another, a lot of other PD places where it's like, okay, this is kind of what we do for people regardless of their situation. Right. This is the exercises that you should do. It's like, no, I feel like I'm getting a lot of variety that I would not have seen otherwise. And that pertains to kind of the dry needling, the shock wave. I'd never had the shock wave done in my life. So it's like there's just different things being utilized that I wish other places would use as well.
That's awesome. Jeff, thank you so much for carving some time for us. I know you're busy. It's been awesome working with you, because you are basically the great example, our ideal client, somebody who lives an active lifestyle, lifelong athlete, everyday athlete, really into fitness, and you just want to stay active and fit for the rest of your life. And so those are the kinds of clients we love to work with, because we know that they're going to do the things we ask them to do. That we know they'll commit to the program, and 9 out of 10 times we'll get the results we're looking for. And if we can't, we know where to refer to as those things come up. But thankfully, most of the time we can actually help people, especially people suffering from low back pain. It's one of our specialties. But thanks again. It's been really awesome working with you, Jeff. I wish you the best in all of your endeavors.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Cool.
Thanks so much for tuning into today's episode. It really does mean a lot to us. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or comment if you got at least 1 or 2 helpful insights or takeaways to help you get to your next level.